Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. And I am the first to apologize for being late. It's all my fault. But I have one excuse, and that is I was just with a saint. And Saint Giriraj Swami. And Giriraj Swami he's an amazing person. Because when you're with him, everything else goes away. It's like, everything else goes away because he's so absorbed. And if you have appointments and this and that, time just goes away and you lose track. I talked to his sister once, and she's got a whole list of things like this, when they were growing up. And the one thing was he was never in time because he was always, now I know why, because he's in the spiritual world. No time, no space. Mm-hmm. Only the absolute truth. There you go. Okay, back to earth. And now we're going to go back to the spiritual world. I'm just walking from over to here in the material world. Now I'm back in the spiritual world. Sanatana Goswami. Welcome to all of you out there in cyberspace. Sorry I'm late. Srimad-Bhagavatam Mahima Stotram, the glories of Srimad-Bhagavatam, by Srila Sanatana Goswami. Fasten your seatbelts. You're not allowed to move about the cabin. We're going to get into some rough water here. And it goes like this. Sarva Shastra Nipiyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths. You are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Srimad Bhagavata Prabho, Kalidwan Dotitaditya, Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master, Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshakshadayate, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madhika Bandho Matsangin, Madguro Mad Mahadana, Madnistadaga Madbhagya, Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadutadayin, atinit chochatakada, hanamunchagadachin mam, premna vit kantayospuda. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, we've got our Pandit who's going to explain to us where we are. Who was speaking about what? Pranahari. He's our ashram, head of our ashram, our new brahmachari ashram, and he's a scholar.
I don't know if I can accept those words, Maharaj, but I can't reject them either.
There you go. I got you in a fix, so now the only way out is to tell the truth.
So Pipalayana is speaking, and he's speaking in response to King Nimi, who is asking to explain the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. And in order to render devotional service, we have to understand who is the Supreme Personality of God. Who are we rendering devotional service to? So within these 5 or 6 verses that Pippalayana is speaking, he is explaining the position of the Absolute Truth. Just like, I was thinking, just like the Panchatattva is God in 5 features. So you can't just talk about God without talking about his energies. And so the discussion is talking about the material energy and the spiritual energy, which includes us, the jivas.
So this is different than the illusory energy talked about by
Antariksha.
Antariksha. So it went from the illusory energy to how to get out of the illusory by Antariksha, and then to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his qualities, and how it is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the absolute, is the ultimate aspect of the Absolute Truth.
Yes.
That's it? Okay, thank you. All right. Text 40. When one seriously engages in the devotional service of the Personality of Godhead, fixing the Lord's lotus feet within one's heart as the only goal of life, one can destroy the innumerable impure desires lodged within the heart as a result of one's previous fruitive work within the 3 modes of material nature. That's one sentence. When the heart is thus purified, one can directly perceive both the Supreme Lord and oneself as transcendental entities. Thus one becomes perfect in spiritual understanding through direct experience, just as one can directly experience the sunshine through normal, healthy, through normal, healthy vision. Purport. In the previous verse, it was explained that one can have a preliminary glimpse of the eternal, unchanging soul by remembering one's experience of peacefully sleeping. Remember this? Even while the mind and senses were totally inactive. That means deep sleep. One may ask, if in deep sleep there is a preliminary experience of the soul, why upon waking does one return to illusory material existence? It may be answered that because of material desires lodged within the heart, the conditioned soul is addicted to the nations of material sense gratification. A prisoner may glimpse, you're excused, a prisoner may glimpse through the bars of the free light outside the prison window, but still remain captive behind the bars. Similarly, although a conditioned soul may have a glimpse of the spirit soul, he remains captured within the bondage of material desires. Therefore, although one may have a preliminary understanding of the eternal soul that exists within the temporary body, or even of the supersoul that accompanies the individual soul within the heart, a specific process is still required to eliminate the cause of material existence, namely material desire. As explained in the Bhagavad Gita 8.6, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajantyante kalevadam tam tam evaiti konteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. According to one's desire, at the time of death, a suitable material body is awarded by material nature. Karmana daiva netrena jantur deho papatye. According to one's fruitive desires and actions, and under the jurisdiction of the representatives of the Lord called demigods, the living entity is awarded a particular material body, which is inevitably subject to harassment by birth, death, old age, and disease. If one can eliminate the cause of a particular phenomenon, logically, he also eliminates the effect. Therefore, this verse states that one should desire only to achieve shelter at the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead. One should give up illusory desires for material society, friendship, and love, since such desires cause further material bondage. One should fix his mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, so that without fail one can remember Krishna at the time of death. As the Lord states, Antakali chamam eva, samanan muktva kalevaram, yak priyati samadbhavam, nati nastyat prasangshayaha. Whoever at the time of death quits his body remembering me alone, at once obtains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Bhagavad Gita 8:5. And Krishna is not a liar, as some politicians that we know are. Practically all of them, actually. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the actual shelter for every living being. And the Lord can be directly perceived as soon as one's heart has become transparently clean through bhakti yoga. Bhagavad Gita describes the state of achieving the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the word tatomam tatpato gyatva bhishate tadadantaram. And sometimes impersonalists falsely interpret these words to be a description of the Brahma Sayuja, or impersonal merging into the existence of the Lord. It is clearly mentioned in this verse that one must fix his mind and devotion on the lotus feet of Abjanaba, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If the individual living entity were equal to the Personality of Godhead, the living entity could simply think of himself in order to be purified. It didn't quite work out for me now. It didn't work. But even then, a contradiction would arise. The Personality of Godhead has no need to be purified, since he is described in the Bhagavad Gita as Pavitram Paramam, or the Supreme Pure. Therefore, one should not artificially try to twist an impersonal meaning out of the statements of the Vedic literature. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has stated that the perfect stage of devotional service, one point is that Shankaracharya, who was the kind of the leader of the impersonalists, he couldn't comment on the Srimad-Bhagavatam because he couldn't twist it to get anything else other than Krishna consciousness. But the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna leaves some, wiggle room because it's very condensed. So it's the Gita, the Shariraka Bhasha, that the commentary on the Gita, that he bases his basic philosophy on. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has stated that the perfect stage of devotional service, indicated in this verse, can be observed in the activities of such great devotees as Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj approached the Personality of Godhead desiring a political adjustment on the material platform. But when purified by chanting the holy name of God, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, he felt no further need for material sense gratification. As stated in the first canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, Janayat Yashu Vairagyam. As soon as one advances in devotional service, one is freed from the embarrassment of superficial material desires. The words Upalabhyata Atmatattvam are significant in this verse. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Atmatattvam, or knowledge of the soul, indicates knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with his various expansions, such as the impersonal Brahmajyoti and the marginal living entity himself. As indicated here by the word sakshat, perceiving the personality of Godhead means seeing the personal form of Lord, his hands and legs, his various transcendental vehicles and servants, and so on. Just as by devotion to the sun god, one can gradually perceive the personal body of the sun god, along with his chariot and personal attendants. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has pointed out that in verses 35 through 39, the various stages of standard logic are demonstrated. Verse 35 establishes the Vishaya, or general thesis. Verse 36 manifests Samshaya, or an expansion of doubt, or an expression, or an expression of doubt. Verse 37 gives the Purvapaksha, or opposing argument. And verse 38 definitely establishes the Siddhanta, or conclusion. Verse 39 presents Sangati, the summary. The Sangati, or final word, is that one should become a pure devotee of the personality of Godhead and worship the Lord's lotus feet. Thus, by cleansing the mirror of the heart, one can see the Lord, just as a normal human being with healthy 20/20 vision can very easily see the brilliant rays of the sun, or as an advanced devotee of the sun god himself can see the personal body of the sun god. Text 41. King Nimi said, "O great sages, please speak to us about the process of karma yoga. Purified by this process of dedicating one's practical work to the Supreme, a person can very quickly free himself from all material activities, even in this life, and thus enjoy pure life on the transcendental platform." Purport. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 3.5, Nahi kachchit chanamapi jatu tischet chikarma krit karyate yapashak karma sarva prakriti jaya gunahi. All men are forced to act helplessly according to the impulses born of the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. Since the living entity cannot remain inactive, he must learn to dedicate his activities to the Lord. Srila Prabhupada comments on this verse from Bhagavad Gita as follows: "It is not a question of embodied life, but it is the nature of the soul to be always active. Without the presence of the spirit soul, the material body cannot move. The body is only a dead vehicle to be worked by the spirit soul. The body, which is always active and cannot stop for even a moment. As such, the spirit soul has to be engaged in the good work of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it will be engaged in occupations dictated by the illusory energy. In contact with material energy, the spirit soul acquires material modes. And to purify the soul from such affinities, it is necessary to engage in the prescribed duties enjoined in the Shastras. But if the soul is engaged in the prescribed duties enjoined in the Shastras, in contact with material energy, the spirit soul acquires material modes. And to purify the soul from such infinities, it is necessary to engage in the prescribed duties enjoined in the Shastras. But if the soul is engaged in his natural function of Krishna consciousness, whatever he is able to do is good for him. Ordinary people often question the busy activities of the devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement, mistaking such activities to be ordinary material work. Srila Jiva Goswami has stated in this connection, Kamya karmanyeva tyajitani natu nitya naimitikani palasyaiva vininditatvat. One should give up selfish activities performed for one's personal sense gratification, since the result of such thoughtless work is further material bondage. But one should offer one's regular or occasional occupational duties to the Supreme Lord, and thus such activities become transcendental devotional service. By the words Tasmat Gurum Prapadyeta Jigyashu Shreya Uttamam, this chapter has clearly explained that dovetailing one's work with the service of the Lord is an art one should learn at the lotus feet of the bona fide spiritual master. Otherwise, if one whimsically declares his materialistic work to be transcendental devotional service, there will be no actual result. Therefore, according to Sri Jiva Goswami, one should not mistake the word naishkarmyam to indicate inactivity. Rather, it indicates transcendental activity under the guidance of the Lord and his representative. Text 42. Once in the past, in the presence of my father, Maharaj Ikshvaku, I placed a similar question before 4 great sages who were sons of Lord Brahma. But they did not answer my question. Please explain the reason for this. So interesting, huh? The questions and answers are so interesting. Purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, the words Brahmanak Putra, the sons of Brahma, refer to the 4 Kumaras, headed by Sanaka Rishi. Srila Madhvacharya has quoted a verse from the Tantra Bhagavatam, stating that the reason the 4 sons of Lord Brahma, although Mahajans and experts in the science of devotional service, declined to answer King Nimi, was that they wanted to demonstrate clearly that even those who are expert in the cultivation of speculative knowledge cannot understand the actual science of pure devotional service. Srila Jiva Goswami has further commented that the sages avoided answering the question from the king because at that time King Nimi was a young boy and therefore not mature enough to understand the answer fully. 43. Sri Avirhotra replied, prescribed duties, Avirhotra now is going to answer. This is number 6. 6 out of 9. Prescribed duties, non-performance of such duties, forbidden activities, and forbidden activities are topics one can properly understand through authorized study of the Vedic literature. This difficult subject matter can never be understood by mundane speculation. You can see how the Bhagavad Gita is the summarize of everything, because it's got these verses. Karmanoya vibodhavyam, karmano, those verses. 4th chapter. This difficult subject matter can never be understood by mundane speculation. The authorized Vedic literature is the sound incarnation of the personality of Godhead himself, and thus Vedic knowledge is perfect. Even the greatest learned scholars are bewildered in their attempts to understand the science of action if they neglect the authority of Vedic knowledge. Purport. Prescribed duties authorized by revealed scripture are called karma, whereas the failure to execute one's highest duty is called akarma. The performance of forbidden activities is called vikarma. Thus, karma, akarma, and vikarma are established by the authorized explanations of Vedic literature. They cannot be ascertained merely through mundane exercises in logic. In the Srimad-Bhagavatam 6.16.51, the Lord says, Shabda Brahma Param Brahma Mamobe Shashwati Tanu. I am the form of the transcendental vibrations of the Vedas, such as Omkara and the Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, and I am the Supreme Absolute Truth. These two forms of mine, namely the transcendental Vedic sound and the eternally blissful spiritual form of the deity, are my eternal forms. They are not material. Okay, now we're going to show you something from Rupa Goswami, Namastaka. These are 8 verses glorifying the holy name. This is one of them, text 6 out of 8. Vacham, vachikam it yudeti bhavato, nama sarupa dvayam, purvasmat padameva hanta karunam, tatrapi jani mahe, yastasmin vihita parada nivaha, prani samantad bhaved, asyene dumupasyaso pihisada nandam budao majdati. O holy name, you manifest yourself in 2 forms. The Supreme Person you designate, and the sound vibration that designates, which is just what we heard. We know that the second form is more merciful than the first, because even if a person offends your first form in many ways, you plunge him into an ocean of transcendental bliss if he serves your second form with his voice. So now go back to the verse we just read, or the purport. This is Srimad-Bhagavatam. Shabda Brahma Padam Brahma Mamobe Shashwati Tanu. I am the form of the transcendental vibrations of the Vedas, such as Omkara and Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, and I am the Supreme Absolute Truth. These 2 forms of mine, namely the transcendental Vedic sound and the eternally blissful spiritual form of the deity, are my eternal forms. They are not material. Similarly, it is stated in the Bhagavatam 6.140, Vedo Narayanak Sakshat Swayambhur Iti Shushuma. The Vedas are directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, and are self-born. This we have heard from Yamaraj. In the Purusha Sukta, Rigveda, Mandala 10, Sukta 90, Mantra 9, it is stated, Tasmat Yagyat Sarvahutar Richat Samani Jagyire Chandangsi Jagyire Tasmat. From him, Yagya, came all sacrificial offerings. From him, Yagya, came all sacrificial offerings, hymns of invocation, and songs of praise. All the mantras of the Vedas come from the Lord. All the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are completely transcendental and free from the 4 defects of conditional life, namely mistakes, illusion, cheating, and imperfect senses. So the Vedic knowledge, being a plenary manifestation of the Supreme Lord, is similarly infallible and transcendental. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has pointed out that in the material world, which is controlled by the illusory energy of the Lord, a particular sound vibration is discarded after describing its object. But on the spiritual platform, called Vaikuntha, nothing is ever lost. And thus Shabda Brahma, or the personality of Godhead in his form as transcendental sound, is eternal. In ordinary human discourse, one can ascertain the meaning of human words by understanding the intention of the speaker. But since Vedic knowledge is aparushaya, or transcendental, one can appreciate its purport only by hearing from the standard authorities in the chain of disciplic succession. Practical way to understand this. There's so many philosophers, so many books. You can go to a bookstore and you can see hundreds and thousands of books, and people read them, and then they toss. Or the newspapers. How many words are in one of these big Sunday newspapers? Hundreds of thousands. And they, every morning, a cup of coffee, and then toss it, clean the window with it, or put it down to cover, not spill something, then toss it. That's what it means. Discarding. Particular sound vibration is discarded after describing its object. That's mundane sound, material. Material knowledge, material sound. It's discarded. And even if they try to, preserve it by history books and classes in universities, the personalities who they're talking about, they're gone. In ordinary human discourse, one can ascertain the meaning of human words by understanding the intention of the speaker. But since Vedic knowledge is aparushaya, or transcendental, one can appreciate its purport only by hearing from the standard authorities in the chain of disciplic succession. This process is prescribed by the Lord Himself in the Bhagavad Gita. Evam parampara praptam. Thus, even highly learned scholars who proudly neglect this simple descending process are certainly bewildered and embarrassed in their hopeless attempt to ascertain the ultimate meaning of Vedic knowledge. As noted in the previous purport, the four sons of Lord Brahma declined to answer the question of King Nimi, since at that time the king was a mere child, and therefore not capable of seriously surrendering to the process of hearing through disciplic succession. Srila Madhvacharya has pointed out in this regard, Ishwarat Matvad, Ishwara Vishayatvad. Because the Vedas describe the unlimited personality of Godhead, Vedic knowledge cannot be approached by mundane methods of comprehension. There's a real nice verse here that I may share with you. Anad Bhavanti Bhutani, where's that? 3:9, is it? Anad Bhavanti Bhutani, Parnyaya Anmasambhava.
3:14. Or 3:15.
Sorry. 14. Pandit. Now the verse after Anad Bhavanti Bhutani is one I'm looking for, 15. Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidi Brahmakshara Samodbhavam Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma Nityam Yagye Pratishtitam. Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas. And the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. So the process we're giving, this Bhakti Yoga, and all the other described in the Vedas, but this is the topmost, comes from the Vedas. And therefore, the transcendence is contained within the process itself. Just in case you get something. Hare Krishna. Hare Bo. Okay, so now back to this. This was relevant, I think, to what we were just hearing. So this is interesting. Nimi didn't get his answer because he was such a child. So great authorities, they only give what can be understood by the audience. And if there's a big audience, they'll talk things that not everyone can understand, but they'll try to find a common denominator. And what we're trying to do is read the whole Bhagavatam and Hare Krishna. These purports explain things in such a way we can understand, if we're attentive and mature. But the catch is, if you keep hearing attentively, by that process, you will become mature. And the more mature you become, the more you'll understand. And the more you understand, the more you'll remember. And then your vision of the world will change, and you'll be transcendentally situated. So you have to hang in there. Keep with the process. Don't stop. Yeah. Because the Vedas describe the unlimited personality of Godhead, Vedic knowledge cannot be approached by mundane methods of comprehension. Text 44. Oh. Paroksha, Vado, Vedo, Yam. Okay. Childish and foolish people are attached to materialistic, fruitive activities, although the actual goal of life is to become free from such activities. Therefore, the Vedic injunctions indirectly lead one to the path of ultimate liberation by first describing fruitive religious activities, just as a father promises his child candy so that the child will take his medicine. Purport. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Trigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistrigunya Bhavarjana. The Vedas apparently offer fruitive results within the three modes of material nature. Those who perform ritualistic ceremonies or austerities in the mode of goodness are offered the chance for promotion to the higher planetary systems called Swargaloka. Ashtanti Divyan Divideva Bhogan. Similarly, those who perform karmakanda or fruitive religious activities in the mode of passion are allowed to become great rulers or wealthy men on earth and enjoy great prestige and earthly power. But as stated in the Manu Samhita, Pravritir Esha Bhutanam Nivritis tu Mahapala. Although fruitive religious activities are very much popular among the conditioned souls, the actual perfection of life is achieved when one gives up all fruitive endeavor. If a father tells his child, "You must take this medicine by my order," the child may become fearful and rebellious and reject the medicine. Therefore, the father entices the child by saying, "I am going to give you a delicious piece of candy. But if you want this candy, first just take this little bit of medicine, and then you can have the candy." Such indirect persuasion, this is kind of like the prasad, this is why the prasadam is our secret weapon. You just take this little sweet ball. Now hear this. Right? Such indirect persuasion is called parokshavad, or an indirect description that conceals the actual purpose. It's actually sweeter. You know, when somebody walks in the room and you say, you know, something about the person, rather than say, John entered into the room, you see this man just walked into this far-out hat on his head. It's parokshavad. It's sweeter. And it's sweeter. It's just John, but he's got a sweet hat. He's got his glasses and he's decked out. It's sweeter. So that's parokshavad. Or an indirect description that conceals the actual purpose. The father presents his proposal to the child as if the ultimate goal were to receive the candy, and only a minor condition must be fulfilled to receive it. Actually, however, the father's goal is to administer the medicine to the child and cure him of his disease, thus describing the primary purpose indirectly and concealing it with a proposal is called parokshavad, or indirect persuasion. Since the great majority of conditioned souls are addicted to sense gratification, pravrittir esha bhutanam, the Vedic karma kanda rituals offer them a chance to become free from temporary materialistic sense gratification by making them greedy for fruitive Vedic results, such as promotion to heaven or a powerful ruling position on earth. In all Vedic rituals, Vishnu is worshipped, and thus one is gradually promoted to the understanding that one's actual self-interest is to surrender to Vishnu. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnum. Such an indirect method is prescribed for balanam, those who are childish or foolish. An intelligent person can immediately understand, by direct analysis, the actual purpose of Vedic literature described. An intelligent person can immediately understand, by direct analysis, the actual purpose of Vedic literature, as described by the Lord himself, Vedayash, just Gita 15:15. All Vedic knowledge ultimately aims at achieving shelter at the lotus. Without such shelter, one must rotate within the 8,400,000 species offered by the illusory energy of the Lord. Ordinary material vision, either through gross sense perception or the subtle perception of rational induction, always yields imperfect knowledge, distorted by the desire for illusory material enjoyment. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that the cultivation of impersonal self-realization is also a disturbance to the conditioned souls, since the impersonal speculative process is an artificial attempt to become completely formless. Such an attempt is not at all in accord with the proper judgment of the Vedas, which is described in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedaischa Sarvar, aham eva vedya. Aham eva vedya means I'm the goal of the Vedas. 15:15, Bhagavad Gita. In Lord Chaitanya's movement, that's us, there is no need to childishly pursue fruitive material results and gradually be dragged to actual knowledge. According to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Harir Nama eva kevalam, kalo nastyeva, 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 gatyaranyataha. In Kali Yuga, life is very short. Prayanal payusha. And people are generally undisciplined, mandaha, misguided, sumanda mataya, and overwhelmed by the unfavorable results of their previous activities, manda bhagya. Thus their minds are never peaceful, upadrutaha. And their very brief lifespan vitiates the possibility of their gradually progressing through the path of Vedic ritual. Vitiates means destroys or makes weak. Therefore, the only hope is to chant the holy names of the Lord, Harir Nama. In the Srimad-Bhagavatam it is stated, 12.3.51, Kaler dosha nide rajan asti yeko mahan gunaha kirtanad eva krishnasya muktasanga param brajet. Kali Yuga is an ocean of hypocrisy and pollution. In Kali Yuga, all natural elements are polluted, such as water, earth, sky, mind, intelligence, and ego. The only auspicious aspect of this fallen age is the process of chanting the holy names of the Lord. Astiyeko mahan gunaha. Simply by the delightful process of Krishna Kirtan, one is freed from his connection to this fallen age, mukta sangha, and goes back home, back to Godhead, param brajet. Sometimes the preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement also use the paroksha, or indirect method of persuasion, offering a nice transcendental sweet to the conditioned soul to entice him to come to the lotus feet of the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement is Kevala Ananda Kanda, simply blissful. But by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even one who is indirectly attracted to the Krishna consciousness movement achieves very quickly the perfection of life and goes back home, back to Godhead. I just did it again. I ran my hand over this. If you avoid this, it's okay. But what verse are we on?
45.
Yeah. Text 45. Ready? You with us? If an ignorant person who has not conquered the material senses does not adhere to the Vedic injunctions, certainly he will engage in sinful and irreligious activities. Thus his reward will be repeated birth and death. Purport. In the previous verse it was stated that although fruitive activities are prescribed in the Vedas, the actual goal of human life is to free oneself from all materialistic activities. Therefore, one may conclude that there is no need to perform the Vedic rituals, which offer regulated sense gratification, but an ignorant person, or in other words, one who has not understood that he is not the material body, but an eternal spiritual soul, part and parcel of Krishna, will invariably be unable to control the urges of the material senses. Therefore, if such a materially inclined person neglects the Vedic injunctions that administer regulated sense gratification, he will certainly fall down into unregulated sense gratification in papa, or sinful life. Papa doesn't mean daddy. Different kind of papa. For example, those who are affected by sexual desire are ordered to accept the vivaha yagya, or religious marriage ceremony. We often see that because of false pride, a so-called brahmachari, or celibate student of Vedic knowledge, rejects the marriage ceremony as maya, or material illusion. But if such a celibate student is unable to control his senses, he will undoubtedly degrade himself by eventually engaging in illicit sex, which has no connection to Vedic culture. Similarly, a neophyte in Krishna consciousness is encouraged to eat Krishna prasadam, safe to his full satisfaction. Sometimes an immature practitioner of bhakti yoga tries to make a show of severe eating habits and eventually falls down into unregulated eating of abominable foods. That was an edit there at the end of that sentence, made it more clear. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the words mrityor, mrityum, upaiti mean that a sinful person is awarded a free ticket to hell by the Lord of Death himself. Yamraj, here, you get free. It's a scalper. It's scalping tickets to hell. Here, go ahead. You can. This is also described in the Vedas as follows: mitva punar mrityum apadyate arjamana sukarmi bihi. Persons who cause themselves severe pain by their materialistic activities gain no relief at the moment of death, for they are placed again into a situation in which death will occur. Therefore, Vedic ritualistic activities such as the wedding ceremony or the relishing of sumptuous yajna shishta, or food remnants of sacrifice, should not be given up by those whose senses are not yet controlled. The previous verse gave the example of a father's administering candy to his son to induce the child to take medicine. If the child rejects the father's offer, thinking that the candy is unnecessary, the child also misses the opportunity to take the medicine that will cure him. Similarly, if a materialistic person rejects the Vedic injunctions that administer prescribed sense gratification, he will not be purified, but instead he will be further degraded. Srila Jiva Goswami has described a materialistic person as one whose mind and intelligence are not faithfully fixed in the message of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Bhagavan, Lord Krishna, gives wonderful explanations to the conditioned souls, represented by Arjuna, concerning the actual goal of life. One who cannot fix his mind on these instructions is to be considered a materialistic person who is inclined towards sinful activities, and who must therefore submit himself to the standard Vedic injunctions. Such Vedic injunctions, even though fruitive, are considered punya or pious, according to Srila Jiva Goswami, and thus one who strictly performs them will not go to hell. Lord Krishna himself states in the Bhagavatam 11:26, Tabat karmani kurvita na nirvijeta yavata matkata shabanadava shraddha yavan najayate. One should continue to perform the Vedic ritualistic activities until one actually becomes detached from material sense gratification and develops faith for hearing and chanting about me. Congratulations, kids. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that the Vedas prescribe that one rise early in the morning, bathe, and chant the Gayatri Mantra. If one artificially gives up such a disciplined, regulated life, one will gradually become a victim of activities for gross sense gratification, such as eating in restaurants and indulging in illicit connections with women, thus losing control of his senses. He becomes just like an animal, engaging from the early morning until the night in dangerous activities. Srila Madhvacharya has commented in this regard, Agya san achadanapi. Although in ignorance, one continues to act, not considering the future result of one's activities. Such indifference to the future result in one's activities such indifference to the future result of one's activities is described in the Bhagavad Gita to be a symptom of the mode of ignorance. Just as an intelligent man will not drive his car on a highway if he knows the highway will lead him to danger, an intelligent man will not perform non-Vedic activities if he knows that the ultimate result will be the disaster described here by the words mrityor, mrityum, upaiti. It's like committing suicide again and again and again and again. If you don't take this process and get out of this cycle, then you'll take birth and die again and again and again. Multiple suicides. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has stated that ignorant persons sometimes think that after death one automatically attains everlasting peace. Rest in peace. I used to play taps at funeral ceremonies with the trumpet when I was a kid. Boy, was I an illusion. Go ahead. But by the powerful reactions of one's sinful activities, one comes to a most unpeaceful condition. For one must suffer hellish miseries in exchange for the meager temporary fruits of material work. Such hellish reactions occur not once, but perpetually, as long as one is indifferent to Vedic injunctions. Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Harir Nama eva kevalam, kalo nasteva, nasteva. The holy name has always been there, and it's always been the top thing. But before you had to go through all these other things to get to it. And now we're allowed to go right to it, because Lord Chaitanya came and chanted it into the material world and gave us this blessing that you don't have to go through all these Vedic rituals. But even if you do it properly, you get accustomed to having to bowing down to authority or respecting authority. And because Vishnu is there in the Vedic sacrifice, ultimately everyone's giving the sacrifice to him, and the demigods are taking shares of the sacrifice, you know. So you gradually go to Vishnu like that, and then you can start to chant a Vishnu mantra. But the other mantras are just to get the shares of what was given to the demigods, the different demigods. So the Hare Krishna mantra is like not just the escalator, it's the high-speed elevator. It takes you right to the top. Because it's all we can do. Okay, I'll stop the reading here. That's about 2 hours. We started really late. 1 hour. Sorry, 1 hour. Hello, wake up. Hare Jiv Jago. Okay, we'll have a short reflection. I can see that Honest John is up there. He's got it. He's got it. Give him that mic quick before it gets away. Before he gets away.
About the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. You have to excuse, this is kind of a simple question, but it's curious. Was the Maha Mantra around before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu empower it, or did he it was already here, he brought it and he empowered it?
Well, the holy name of the Lord is eternally perfect. Nama Krishna, Nama Chaitanya Krishnasya, no, Nama Chantami, Nama Chintami, huh? Krishnas, Chaitanya Rasa Vigra, Punya, Nitya Punya, Nitya Sudho, no, Nitya Sudho, something Punyam. It's always pure. It's non-different than Krishna. Vinatvam namaban namino. Vinatvam nama namino. It's always it never changes. It's always non-different. Vinatvam nama namino. Non-different than the Lord. The origin of the holy name is, there's no origin to the holy name. Just like there's no origin to Krishna, has no origin, so the holy name has no origin.
It never not was.
It never not was. I got that straight from Honest John's vocabulary. It never not was. Right. So, but when you chant it, if you're impure, even though the whole name is pure, you can't see it and you can't taste it as long as you're impure. The holy name's pure. And because the holy name is Pavitram Paramam. Remember, we heard that. Krishna is Pavitram Paramam. This word is very significant. Supreme pure. So the definition of supreme pure is whatever comes in contact with it becomes pure, and it comes in contact with impure things, and it never becomes impure. That's supreme pure. So the holy name of the Lord purifies, but never becomes impure. And when you become purified, then you can taste the holy name, and it's gradual. So when Lord Chaitanya comes, because not only is he completely pure, but he's the source of the holy name, you get it becomes, it's already supremely pure, but it becomes manifest in the material world. And like you said, because he's the Yuga avatar, he's the incarnation of Krishna. Actually, he's Krishna. He's not an incarnation of Krishna. He's not an expansion of Krishna. He's Krishna, personally. The original form of Krishna, in the mood of Radharani. And when he chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it becomes manifest, fully potent. Like when he chanted, anyone who heard it became immediately, without doing anything else, fully God realized, fully in love with Krishna. Tears in the eyes, falling down, can't do any, full prema, Krishna prema. Even seeing him or hearing him. He would walk down the road and everybody would just become prema bhaktis, pure. They would go back to their village, and the people who heard them chant, they would come to do the same thing. In that way he started a tsunami, and the tsunami is gradually. Now, we can't imitate that, but the more purified we become, when we explain things, when we speak, the effect of the sound is different. It has a stronger effect on the heart of the person you're hearing. So because we've heard through the mouth of Prabhupada, who heard from the mouth of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who heard from the mouth of, like that, all the way back to Lord Chaitanya, only 12 people removed. Prabhupada was 11, and we who are his disciples are 12, and you guys are 13. Only 13 persons removed from Lord Chaitanya. It's inconceivable mercy. But, as it said here, we have to become mature in order to get not just the paroksha, the indirect. To get the direct, then you have to become pure. You have to stop being childish, grow up, not be childish, and then the candy will be given to you direct rather than, you know.
Thank you.
Got it?
Getting it.
Getting it. Got it? Get it? Good. Getting it? Got it? Good. When we're traveling and everybody comes, how are you? I say, better and getting better. And they go, oh yeah, wow. What was, who was that? What was that? Never, right? I learned it from Vaisheshika Prabhu, good and getting better. I decided better and getting better. That was when I was wobbling around in my, anyway, better and getting better. That's the name of it. What else? We got 3 minutes. And I'm really sorry that I was late and we don't have as much time together, but what can I say? I was mesmerized by the potency of Giriraj Swami.
I was attracted to the first sentence we read tonight. When one seriously engages in the devotional service of the personality of Godhead, fixing the Lord's lotus feet within one's heart as the only goal of life, one can destroy the innumerable impure desires lodged within the heart as a result of one's previous fruit of work within the three modes of material nature. And so what does it mean to fix the Lord's lotus feet within one's heart as the only goal of life?
Well, Hare Krishna. Now sometimes you have to do something that requires your attention. And you may not be able to chant during that time, but if it's something that don't require your full attention, you can still chant. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. As soon as you stop, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, and just keep it going. And don't stop. Then you'll be free, completely free. You know where this is coming from, right? Remember? You got it, you got it. What's the name of the verse? What's the number? 931. 931. Did you hear that? He's getting trained up. Here you go. According to the Vedas, there is a certain regulation that if one falls down from his exalted position, he has to undergo certain ritualistic processes to purify himself. But here there is no such condition because the purifying process is already there in the heart of the devotee, due to his remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, should be continued without stoppage. This will protect the devotee from all accidental fall downs. He will thus remain perpetually free from all material contaminations. I've been working on this for 25 years, chanting all the time in my mind. Most of the time the mantra is going on, my confession. Is he going out or coming in? Haribol Maharaj, oh, I just had a confession. Hashivansh.
No, I mean,
It's true. It's actually true. You took initiation before me, therefore I'm younger. I'm just your baby. I just confess that I'm trying to chant Hare Krishna all the time, as much as possible, inside the mind.
that's great.
And this was the first sentence we heard today.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
When one seriously engages
I'm learning it from him. Go ahead.
When one seriously engages in the devotional service of the personality of Godhead, fixing the desires lodged within the heart as a result of one's previous fruit of work within the three modes of material nature.
Beautiful. It's something worth practicing.
You can say that again.
That's something worth practicing.
You can say that again.
That's something worth practicing.
There you go. Three times is a charm. Prabhupada says when something's important, say it 3 times. Do it, do it, do it.
Can't.
Can.
And that was a reference. That was a reference to a cartoon that Srila Prabhupada saw. An old lady and her husband are together, and the wife is saying, chant, chant, chant. And the husband is saying, can't, can't, can't. And Srila Prabhupada used to quote that,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
with the same effort that he made to say can't, 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 he could have just chanted.
Yes.
That caused this unwillingness.
Yes. You want to keep going? Do you have to go?
You know, at this stage, I could stay.
There you go. Did I tell you? Giriraj Swami, where he is, that's it. You can stay.
The rest of the world fades into
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
It can wait.
That's why you want to. That's why I want to hang out with you, Maharaj.
I texted the place where I'm going, and it was true that I'm waiting for my ride to come and take me there.
Oh, I see.
So I'm good until
There
my
you go,
ride comes
liberated.
anyway.
For a few minutes.
Yeah.
So, has anybody got any questions they ask the Maharaj? Go ahead and tell me. Yeah, I mean, he's taking notes. He's taking notes. This guy's serious.
Did you want to say something?
No, we're waiting for you.
Well, we're just gonna. This is kind of a. I'm just now starting to really understand it, and it's really starting to make sense to me, because when I first started coming around, of course, I don't understand a lot, but I'm getting the vision is getting a little bit clearer. But it says understanding only comes from hearing from standard authority in the chain of disciplic success, and so you can listen to this stuff in it on your own, and it really won't make any sense until you, as you said, sit down and listen with humbly and from people, authorized people, and then you start to, your vision starts to clear up a little bit. So I thought that was, I realized that, and ever since we started coming to this class, since Nichiren invited me, it's been a real adventure, learning about the Srimad-Bhagavatam. And
Quite a ride.
yeah, it has been. It's been like a year, and it's been great. So I just thought I'd say that, and learning at the feet of great personalities like yourselves, and it's been a great experience, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's why we call you Honest John, because you always tell the truth. But, I also, it's true what you just said, because even if you read Prabhupada's books by yourself, there'll always be questions. But since I started doing this was about, what year are we? 2020. It's been 7 years. I've been doing this every day without fail. And I'm noticing that when I read out loud, even though I've been doing it for a long, long time, and I should know more and be better at it, but I notice that when I hear Prabhupada speaking from my own mouth to my ear, when I read aloud to myself, it has a special potency, a mystic magic potency. So even though you do need to hear from your spiritual master directly, and senior Vaishnavas, and in the company of other Vaishnavas, there is the opportunity when you get Prabhupada's books and read them out loud to yourself to get the direct thing. If you're mature enough, as we heard, if a person's mature, then you can do that direct. You don't need to go through the gradual process. That's why Prabhupada called the books the Brihat, or his spiritual master called it the Brihat Mridanga. The Mridanga, you can hear it for and you go far enough away you can't hear it anymore. But the books, they're like, they'll go anywhere and they go everywhere. And
Rati Manjari left a question for Giriraj Maharaj.
okay, you're getting out, you're getting around, you know. She's in Vrindavan. You're speaking directly for Vrindavan. Go ahead.
Dear Giriraj Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Is there a cause for the causeless unwillingness of the conditioned souls, or how are we to understand this term?
The causeless unwillingness is actually envy. We are in the material world because of envy of Krishna. And we refuse to chant or serve him because of envy. And Srila Prabhupada has said different things about overcoming envy. I was at one stage contemplating the subject because I was detecting envy within myself. This was when I was with Srila Prabhupada in Surat, India, in 1971. And I thought of many reasons not to be envious. One was that it was affecting my relationship with devotees, or it could affect. And another was it wasn't good for my heart. It didn't feel good. So one morning when Srila Prabhupada was taking his massage, I told him that I asked him what to do about envy. He said to be envious, which I had. So I said yes. And he said, all right. Envy means you don't like someone. And that not liking should not be directed towards devotees. That not liking should be directed towards demons who make or try to make things difficult for devotees. Another thing Srila Prabhupada said about envy was that if you have knowledge and you don't share it with others, you become envious. I thought about that and share it with them. You know, knowingly or unknowingly, you're trying to keep them down. So, but yeah. This, causeless unwillingness, since you asked, I would say the cause is envy. Causeless envy. Hare Krishna.
I mean, the soul is tiny. And it's part of Krishna. And there's a very nice verse in the Gita that talks about different things that were created by Krishna. And one of them was, you know, it didn't exactly say directly envy, but there's a list of them. What was there? Where is that?
10, 4, 5.
pandit. You have to have a pandit. Always you have to have a pandit. If you don't have a pandit, you're in trouble. 10, 4, and 5. I think you're right. 4 through 5. Yeah. Buddhya Jnanam Asamoha Shama Satyam Dhamak Shamaha Shukam Dukam Babo Babo Bhayam Cha Bhayam Evacha Ahimsa Samata Tushtis Tapo Dhanam Yasho Yashaha Bhavanti Bhava Bhutanam Mata Eva Vidaham. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, fame and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. So these are reflections of Krishna's unlimited, infinite qualities. And we have a little tiny bit of them. But in Krishna, they're all perfect and they're all absolute. Like he could be angry, but just to, wind somebody up so they love him more. Or we have reflections of that here also. Or I was just hearing Prabhupada talk about Yudhishthira today, and how Yudhishthira, he told him to tell a lie. But Yudhishthira had never told a lie in his life. He was called Dharmaraj. So he said no to Krishna. And Krishna said, He looked at Bhima. Bhima was on the level of demigod also, and he said, I have an idea. There's an elephant over here. And they just happened to name him Ashwatthama. Oh, Krishna said, okay. So he went over and he killed the elephant, Bhima. And then he went back to Yudhishthira and he said, Krishna said, okay, now you can tell that Ashwatthama, the elephant, was killed. Now sometimes some acharyas say that he blew the conch shell, that Krishna blew the conch shell just when he said elephant. And that's how he took it that his son was killed, because Ashwatthama the beat is dead. But there are commentaries that say that because Dronacharya was so attached to his son, he thought Ashwatthama the elephant was talking about his son. So he immediately thought that his son was dead, and he said, that's it. He sat down, went into meditation, and he left his body. And Drishtadyumna, who was destined to kill him because of the sacrifice of Drupada, came with the sword and went whoop, because he was destined to kill him, but he had already gone. I'm not sure how this relates to what we've been talking about, but it was interesting. Yes, Krishna, he can lie for a good purpose. And in this case, because Yudhishthira wouldn't lie for him, his chariot, which normally went off the ground, had to go on the ground.
Yeah.
And he had to see a projection of hell for just a moment, a few moments, before he went back to Krishna when he left. So like that, Krishna has all qualities, unlimited, and can use them in a way that's always positive and always transcendental. But we're just tiny, so we get a little bit of, those propensities to be angry or to do this and that. But we don't have the propensity or envy or whatever to. Well, Papa did say at one time, the envy of this thing has to give it up. Every other quality can be dovetailed, but envy can't be dovetailed. It has to be given up. That's what I was going to say. That's what I was coming to. And it comes from envy of Krishna. That's why we're here. That's the ultimate reason why every single one of us is here. looks like your ride sitting over there in the in
Yeah.
the doorway, waiting patiently. Is that what it is? Am I telling the truth? Am I seeing the truth? Am I seeing
Yes.
the actual situation?
Yes.
I see. Okay, then we will close our session for tonight, our daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, which are becoming more and more interesting every day that Giriraj Swami stays and elevates the atmosphere. And also our godbrothers, Ridananda Maharaj, Gopi Pranadana Bhuva and Durvida, are treating us to the 11th canto purports of the Acharyas. And we're very lucky fellows and gals. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari
See you
Bol.
tomorrow night, same time, same place. The live studios here at Radha Lane. Everyone's welcome. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow. Hari Bol.